Imagine paying off the refs and still getting your ass whooped at your home stadium. Um, that's how Texas is feeling right now. If you didn't watch the Texas game, or if you turned it off because they were getting their ass kicked in the first half, fair enough. But you missed a hell of a missed call by the referee. So they called a defensive pass interference or an offensive. Yeah, no, it was a defensive pass interference because Texas was on defense, and Texas got an interception on the same play and ran it back to like the 5 or 10 yard line. And then because the call was going to get since the interception was going to get reversed, all the Texas fans started bitching and throwing stuff onto the field. And they cried enough that they actually got their way. So, I guess if refs make a bad call, just start throwing shit on the field. But either way, even though Texas wants to be a bunch of crybabies and can't take a loss like big boys, um, they did lose. So that they're going to be moving down. And I would hate to be a Texas fan right now because you spent that whole time crying and you didn't even pull off the win. But let's go ahead and put Oregon in their rightful place at number one. Oregon knocked off the Spoiler Makers 35 to nothing. So easy win there for Oregon. Miami took down. Oh, who did Miami play? Louisville. They played Louisville and they took them down 52 to 45. Not a great win for Miami, but it's still a win. So they're gonna keep moving up. BYU is going to move up to number 3 after beating Oklahoma State 38 to 35. They didn't look that fantastic either. Penn State was on bye, but they are also going to move up. Iowa State barely beat UCF. They scraped by. The score was 38 to 35, but the only reason Iowa State pulled that off was some last minute. I wouldn't call it shenanigans, but they just got that last minute drive in, and they pulled it off. So good for Iowa State. I'm not feeling super hot about them being number 5. To be honest, I could easily swap Indiana out for Iowa State. I think Indiana's got a better win, and they're also undefeated too. So I can't say I've got a really good argument for why Iowa State's here and Indiana's here. In fact, I think Indiana's probably a better team. So maybe we should just. This is gonna fuck up my whole rankings. Nah, we're just gonna leave Indiana where they are. Georgia is gonna slide up. Georgia's gonna slide ahead of Ohio State, and the main reasoning here to separate the one-loss teams is that Georgia beat Texas 30 to 15, obviously, and Ohio State was on bye week. But Georgia's got 2 really good wins. I mean, they've got wins against Texas and Clemson, which I know Texas just lost, but I still think they're probably a top 10 team. Ohio State was on bye, like I said, and Alabama is also took a loss. Who did they lose to? Tennessee. Yep, 14 or 17-24. And I told you guys last week, whoever lost that game was probably going to be out. And the reasoning behind that is going to become crystal clear by the end of this. We're just going to go ahead and slide Alabama down here for right now. Maybe so many teams lost that they'll get a move back up. Spoiler alert, they won't. Okay. Next up, who do we have? Clemson. Okay, so we got Clemson moving up to number 8. They were also. Wait, were they on bye? No, they were on bye last week. Or they're on bye this week. Who'd they play last week? They beat Virginia 48 to 31, and Virginia's looked pretty decent. So, pretty decent win there for Clemson. Next, we are also going to slide Boise ahead of Texas, right? Yep, Boise State going to be right here, number 9. And Texas is going to fall all the way down to 10. Now, if you're wondering why Texas is further down than all these other teams, I mean, to be honest, they're a lot like Clemson. Like, for me, Boise State has a top 25 win. They've beaten Washington State, who's in my top 25. I don't think Clemson off the top of my head has any top 25 wins. I don't think Texas does either. Like, I mean, I know at the time Texas beat 2 top 25 teams with Michigan and Oklahoma, but at the same time, neither of them are ranked for me anymore. I mean, Michigan might still be ranked in the top 25 for the AP poll, but that's because the AP poll is fucking insane. So I honestly think Texas's best win is ULM. By my rankings, Texas's best win is ULM. Which, I mean, that's not like a bad win, but it's like a 30 win. I mean, I've got ULM, I think, in the 30s. Where are they? There's 34 for me. Like 34 for me this week. So, not exactly like they've played really, really good competition. And they didn't look that fantastic against Georgia. I mean, they pretty much got dominated the whole entire game. But either way, Texas is only going to fall down to number 10. Boise and Clemson are going to jump them. I don't know if I would take Boise over Texas right now. I don't know. I think these matchups are all really close. I still think these top 10 matchups are all pretty close. Now, if we're talking about why Georgia is not further up, because I think Georgia would probably beat Iowa State. They're probably beating... I don't know. I think the Penn State game's close. They're also probably beating Miami. Iowa State and Miami are the frauds here. Or the potential frauds here. Because they're the only 2 undefeated teams. Well, those 2 and Pitt, they don't have any top 25 wins for me. Like, BYU's got to win against Kansas State. So, like, I feel like they've got a pretty solid case. But Iowa State, they don't. Their best win was Iowa, and Iowa just lost this week to Michigan State, so not fantastic. But either way, let's keep going. Next up, sorry Pitt fans. Actually, I think you're gonna say pretty much exactly where you were because somebody else slid up above. But Indiana is gonna jump you. Indiana's gonna move up to number 11, and Pitt is gonna be right here at number 12. Next up, we've got Tennessee at 13. Tennessee took down Alabama 24-17. Kansas State dominated whoever they played. Who'd they play? Kansas State 45-18 against West Virginia. So a good win there for Kansas State. They haven't really been able to move out of the teens, but you know, they've been. I feel like they're right where they're supposed to be ranked. Next up, we got LSU. Yep, LSU is going to move up to 15. Army is going to be here at 16. Navy will be at 17. Also, Army is what is it? 6-0 for the first time since 1996. And I think Navy is... No, I think Army's 7-0 for the first time since like 1970 or something. I don't know. These 2 haven't been undefeated in a really long time. So, big props to Army and Navy. And they're both moving up to 16 and 17. What do we have up next? Illinois. Illinois right behind them at 18. Notre Dame. Oh, yeah, Nebraska. Oh, sorry, Nebraska, man. Who did Nebraska lose to? Indiana. 7-56. They got dominated by Indiana. So a huge win there for Indiana. That's actually why Indiana jumped Pitt. But honestly, I don't think Nebraska is really a bad team. They're going to be... Like, they lost to a team I had rated above them. And they've still got... Colorado's kind of cushioning them around here. I don't know. Where's Colorado? Where are the Buffaloes? Okay. So they're going to be right around there. But there are some teams that are going to jump Alabama by the time we get to them. Okay. So we've got Illinois. Illinois number 18. Notre Dame is going to move up to number 19. Washington State is going to move up to 20. Who did Notre Dame and Washington State play? So Notre Dame knocked off Georgia Tech 31-13. Washington State took down Miami 42-10. So good wins there for both of them. Texas Tech. Texas Tech is also a loser. So Texas Tech is going to slide right on out of this top 25. I wouldn't say they'd really look that good so far this year, but they were getting wins, and they had some wins over some what I thought were decent Arizona schools, but actually they are really not. Both the Arizona schools got losses yesterday, so those wins aren't looking as good anymore. Next up, Texas A&M knocked off Mississippi State 34-24, and SMU dominated Stanford 40-10. So not too much happened. We had a few losses. Lost 3 teams from the top 25. So that means we've got 3 new spots to fill. And first up, we've got, where are they? Where are they? Liberty. Liberty is going to be number 22, and you can make a solid argument that the team that's going to be behind them could probably beat them, but that's fine because Liberty's undefeated, unlike the team right behind them, which is going to be Missouri. So Missouri is going to be number 24. Who did Missouri play? Auburn. They won 21-17. Not exactly a. I mean, Auburn kind of sucks, so not exactly a fantastic win. But winning is really all that matters. And the only reason Missouri is here is so I could rank Vandy at number 25. Because they totally deserve it. The highest rated 1-loss team or 2-loss team for me is Vanderbilt. Which is why Alabama can't be in the top 25 because they're right there behind Vandy. Now, would Alabama beat Liberty? Probably. Probably. But you know what else? Alabama's got 2 losses and Liberty doesn't. So Liberty's in the top 25. Alabama's not. Okay, I'm also let's go ahead and fill out the rest of the down here rankings because I want to talk about some games coming up this week. Because this next week, week 9, is going to be a huge week for football. It's gonna separate a lot of the teams, and I will tell you why as soon as I finish out these. Let's go down to like 35, 40 or something like that. So we've got Alabama at number 26 for me. We've got Nebraska at 27. Syracuse is going to be 28. UNLV will be 29. Ole Miss, where's Ole Miss at? Ole Miss will be 30. Colorado is 31. I'm taking Colorado over Texas Tech if they play. Duke, where is Duke at 6-1? Right here. And Duke had a bad loss a couple weeks ago. I had them ranked in my top 25. But they ended up falling out after a loss. But they are right back in the conversation. Memphis will be right after that. So let's go move Memphis right behind Duke. So ULM, I've got ULM right after that. University of Louisiana Monroe, there we go. So they'll be right behind Memphis. And then Texas Tech will be right there. Georgia Southern. We've got Georgia Southern here. Right behind Texas Tech. Which I think is actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ole Miss beat Georgia Southern. So I think that's actually Ole Miss's best win. But actually Georgia Southern seems like a pretty good school. I'm pretty sure they beat James Madison. Let me go check. Yeah, Georgia Southern knocked off James Madison, and James Madison has been looking pretty good this year. Also, just so you guys know, Liberty was on bye last week. Missouri beat Auburn. Vanderbilt beat Ball State 24-14. Alabama obviously lost to Tennessee. Nebraska lost to Indiana. Syracuse was on bye, doing nothing. UNLV beat Oregon State 33-25. Didn't really like dominant, but win's a win. Arizona State was ranked around here, but they lost. Actually, a bunch of the teams in my 30 range all got to the 30s were just destroyed this week. Who did Colorado play? Colorado beat Arizona 34-7. Duke. Where is Duke? There's just so many lists. Or this list is just so long. They they beat Florida State 23-16. Memphis beat North Texas 52-44. ULM was on bye. Texas Tech obviously lost to Baylor, and that was a bad loss. Baylor is not very good, so kind of disappointing for Texas Tech. Was hoping they could keep rising, but it's just not going to happen. And it's looking like I would definitely take Colorado over them in the Big 12 right now. After that, we got Georgia Southern, who took down James Madison. Okay, back to... Next up, we've got Cincinnati. Where is Cincy? So Cincy is going to be right behind Georgia Southern. Virginia Tech. We're only going to go to 40. I'm not going to go to 50. And Boston College. Wait, no. Virginia Tech, Boston College, and then Michigan State. So where is BC at? Boston College, and then we'll put Michigan State right here. Okay, and the reason I really wanted to get all these teams right here is because if a team is not playing, if the top 25, if they are not playing another top 25 team, they are 90% chance playing one of these teams right here. So this is going to be a huge week for separation. Like if you're right on the outside looking in, you've got your chance to get in the top 25 this week because you can literally beat the team that's ahead of you to get in. And if you're in the top 25, you can knock those dudes trying to get in right back out. So this is going to be a great week to figure out where everybody really stands. There's going to be some matchups that like Pitt has not played anybody really with a pulse so far. They're undefeated, but they don't have any good wins. Well, they're going to get a chance this week. So let me pull up all the matchups. Okay, so we've got Oregon versus Illinois. Obviously, I'm taking Oregon there, but that is one top 25 matchup. Miami's taking on Florida State, so they're kind of an exception to that rule. BYU is taking on UCF. That's also kind of an exception. Penn State's also playing Wisconsin, so I guess I'm not really proving my point here with the top 5. Iowa State and Georgia are both on bye. So as far as the top 6 go, really there's only one top 25 matchup. But we really get into it after that because Ohio State is playing Nebraska, and Nebraska is right on the outside looking in. So if Nebraska can knock off Ohio State, they'll have the same record. I mean, obviously, you'll just have to rank Nebraska ahead of Ohio State. Although I'm taking Ohio State in that game. I don't really think Nebraska is going to win. Nebraska seems like they're going to beat everybody who's worse than them, and they're going to lose to everybody who's better than them. Oh my God, Ohio State ranked better than them. Who do we have up next? Clemson is also on bye. Boise is taking on UNLV, and UNLV's right outside. So UNLV could steal Boise State's top 25 spot. It would be pretty harsh knocking Boise State all the way out, but I mean, the way I see this week is you got to win to keep your top 25 spot because we've got like 30, 35, 40 really solid teams that have kind of separated themselves already. Now, I still don't think the gap's that big. I think it's really small because, I mean, if you watch some of these other games, like, it's not like Miami's winning by a country mile. It's not like Iowa State's winning by a country mile. Now, Georgia would probably dominate most of their competition, but it's not like there's a huge separation between all these teams. Okay, so Texas is playing Vanderbilt, so that's actually a top 25 matchup, which is really funny. Indiana is playing Washington, so they're not really fighting for their lives, but honestly, I think Indiana's probably going to win that one. Pitt plays Syracuse, so Syracuse will have their chance to get in. Tennessee is on bye, which they probably need after taking down Alabama. Kansas State is taking on Kansas. LSU is taking on Texas A&M. Army is on bye. Navy is taking on Notre Dame. So we're going to have some losses next week. Some people are leaving the top 25 next week. Like I said earlier, Illinois is playing Oregon. Washington State is playing San Diego State, so they don't have much of a test. So it would be a big week for Washington State to let some of these other teams lose around them and keep moving up. Texas A&M is playing LSU. Liberty is playing Kennesaw State. Wait, no. SMU is playing Duke right here. And Liberty is playing Kennesaw State. Which Kennesaw State is still one of the two undefeated, or not undefeated, winless teams. So they're probably going to win that, but at the same time, we did lose a winless team this week. UTEP beat FIU 30-21, so they are no longer winless. I think Kennesaw State and Kent State are the only teams without wins in college football. But anyways, back to the main point. So SMU is taking on Duke, so Duke will get their shot to get in. Pretty much, if you're down here, you're literally like a win away from getting in the top 25. Liberty's playing Kennesaw State. Missouri is playing Alabama, so I know this is the first week I've ever not ranked Alabama, which is honestly not that surprising because I haven't done rankings for the last 10 years while they've been dominant. But still, it's nice to take Alabama down a notch, but they might force their way right back in. Vanderbilt is taking on Texas, which it would be hilarious if Vandy won that game. And I don't think you can count them out. I think the Commodores have a solid chance. I think they're the second best team Texas has played so far. So we'll see. And then a couple of these matchups. Colorado is playing Cincy, which I know that neither of them are ranked, but it's a pretty important matchup for the Big 12. And like they're both right on the outside looking in. So, you know, say more than a few of these teams look really bad. Whoever wins this game could easily be jumping into the top 25. So keep an eye on that game as well. And then Texas Tech's playing TCU, ULM's playing South Alabama, Memphis is playing Charlotte, Georgia Southern's Old Dominion, Virginia Tech is Georgia Tech. And after this, you get into 4-3 hell. I couldn't tell you how many 4-3 teams there are. And it is impossible for me to separate most of them. Most of them, it's like, it depends on the day, I guess. So I think really our top teams right here, there are some 5-win teams, like North Texas and Georgia Tech. I've got rated pretty low. But there's just this 4-3 hell is a nightmare, and it's hard to figure out where to put everybody in. Like Florida just jumped up a bunch of spots because they beat Kentucky. Florida's actually coming back. Florida's looked pretty dog shit all year, but I guess don't count them dead yet. They might have a better record than OU next week. And also, sorry for the University of Oklahoma. We're cooked. We might not even make a bowl game, so. I don't know what's worse, being an Oklahoma State fan or an OU fan or a USC fan. Either way, you're having a real bad time if you're in one of those fan bases. Okay, so that'll do it for my top 25. I feel like this is a pretty solid top 10. I like the top 25, and I feel like if you are down here, you really shouldn't be feeling that bad because you've got your chance to win your way in. So, I think this is going to be I think this is the most important week of college football we've had so far. This is going to tell us who the real top 25 teams are. And after this, there's not going to be a whole lot of moving around. Because we're going to know. Alright, now let's go check out how the AP poll fucked it all up. AP poll. Top 25 college football poll. Oregon, number 1. I told you guys Georgia would be number 2. I told you. Penn State at number 3. I really love how you can be undefeated and still be behind Georgia. Ohio State at number 4, 5-1. Texas only dropped down to number 5. Okay. Alrighty. Because their best win is it Oklahoma? Is it Michigan? It's ULM. It's ULM. And I do have ULM right here. So that's not exactly like a bad win, but they don't have any good wins. Vandy has a better win than Texas. Tennessee has a better win than Texas. I mean, there's no way you can rank Texas higher than Tennessee. I know. The eye test. Well, the eye test told me they get fucking bodied against Georgia. That's what the eye test told me. Miami, and then they throw a hissy fit too. So Miami's gonna be number 6. How is Miami only number 6? Although Miami has looked kind of fake as fuck, so I'll give them that. Tennessee at number 7. That is like way higher than I've got them, but yeah, whatever. It's the SEC. LSU at number 8, also way higher than I've got them. I've got them down here at like 15. So they're really boosting Tennessee and LSU up. Clemson at number 9. I've got Clemson at number 8. Not too bad. What is going on whenever I'm switching in between these? Please stop doing that. Iowa State at 7. I've got Iowa State. Wait, Iowa State at 10. I've got them at 5. Okay. Bro, fucking, please make that go away. BYU 7-0, number 11. I've got BYU as a top 3 team. So we have big differences in how we rate the Big 12. But the way I see it, the Big 12 is going to get one of the bye spots, so they're going to be one of the top 4 teams. Notre Dame at 12. I've got Notre Dame ranked behind Navy. And please, 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 Navy, please, please, do it for America. Take down Notre Dame. Indiana at 13. I mean, maybe I feel like me and the AP poll are disrespecting Indiana. I could easily put them in the top 10. I could easily put them above Iowa State. They have a better win than Iowa State. Texas A&M at number 14. I've got them down here at 21. I mean, I guess if we've got them ranked and there's like a 7-point difference, it's really not that big of a deal. Bro, oh my god, fuck you, AP website. We're gonna have to go somewhere else. Alabama at number 15. Okay, how, and just explain this to me, how do you rank Alabama above Vanderbilt when they've got the same exact record and Vanderbilt's got to win against them? Do 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 do. Yeah, you can't. Kansas State at 16. I mean, I don't see how you separate Kansas State and LSU. LSU... Who's LSU's best win? LSU football. They beat Arkansas. Ole Miss, not my top 25. South Carolina, not my top 25. USC, also not my top 25. Okay, yeah, so LSU really doesn't have any good wins. Army and Navy also don't have any good wins. Where's Army and Navy here? Not here. Boise State's at number 7, and they moved down 2. How'd they move down 2? What'd they do? Who went above them? Alrighty. Well, I like Boise State more than they do, clearly. Ole Miss at number 18. How? How is Ole Miss here? Where? Okay, I guess Ole Miss is not so far out, but like, I don't know. Pitt at number 19. I love how you can go undefeated and be behind a 2-loss Ole Miss team who has not beaten a single good team. Ole Miss does not have a good win. You go search their schedule. Tell me where the good win is. Not that Pitt has a good win either, but they're undefeated, you know. Illinois at 20. I've got Illinois at, what, 18? Missouri at 20. Okay, Missouri's right there at 24. Not too bad. SMU at 22. I've got SMU at 22 as well. Army and Navy both here at 23 and 24. And then finally Vanderbilt here at 25. So I can get behind Vandy at 25. What I can't get behind is having Alabama above them. I like, what's your argument? What's the reasoning? There's not a reasoning. It's because they're Alabama. But I'll tell you what, Alabama's looked fucking terrible. So as far as the AP poll goes, I think, honestly, I don't know if it's getting worse. It might be getting worse. Because there's some serious head scratchers here. But it's very clear what they're trying to do. We've got to pump the SEC up. pump the Big Ten up, and fuck everybody else. But I hope they know that everybody else still, like, ACC is going to get one of those bye spots, and the Big 12 is also going to get one of those bye spots. Also, how do you have Iowa State ahead of BYU? BYU's got better wins than Iowa State does. I mean, they've got a win against Kansas State, a top 25 team. Who is Iowa State's top 25? Doesn't matter. None of this makes sense. This AP poll does not fucking make sense at all. I really hope the college football playoff polls are better than this. We'll see soon. But these are terrible. It's not that they're like so egregiously wrong. I mean, we don't have like that much of a difference in our positions. But the problem is they're not internally consistent. Like Vanderbilt they should at least be ranked above Alabama, which means Alabama needs to fall farther, not that Vandy needs to jump a bunch of spots. Okay, yeah, that's gonna do it for this week. Pretty good week of college football. It was hilarious watching the Texas fans cry and lose. As an Oklahoma fan, I will never get over that. So. And, maybe you could say my top 5 is pretty suspect, but that's fine. I mean, it's all going to work itself out. So, these teams are undefeated. Honestly, Indiana should maybe be ahead of here. I do think Indiana, you can make a solid case. Next week, I might need to readjust my rankings. We'll figure out next week, because I try to do them independently every time. But, I mean, for the most part, if you win, I just take you and I move you up. And if you lose, I just take you and move you down. But I think Indiana's got a solid case after beating Nebraska. And if Nebraska, the problem is Nebraska's probably going to lose to Ohio State, and that win is going to look less good. But I doubt Ohio State dominates Nebraska the way that Indiana did. But either way, that's going to do it for my top 25 this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think I got wrong. Let me know if you guys think the AP poll isn't dog shit. And yeah. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And please like and subscribe. And join us back next week for the next top 25. Next week's going to be a big one. Next week is going to be a really good one. So thank you guys all for watching. And I hope you guys enjoyed.